Hello, everyone. We'll give a few minutes to allow everyone to join. In the meantime, if anyone wants to add in the chat where they're going or where they're from, we'll be glad to see it. And let's see if anyone else is joining. And you can also put in the chat what you're most excited for um, in applying for study abroad. Oh, we have somebody that wants to apply to Yonsei in South Korea. That's one of our popular programs. Does anybody else want to share where they're currently going to school or where they'd like to go for their semester abroad? Oh, we have some joining in from France. Oh, and students that would like to go to Brussels. Oh, we have a ton. Awesome. It's so fun to see them come through. Somewhere in the US, Australia, Korea, USA. Oh, the Netherlands. Wow, so many. Ghana, Sharjah, Estonia, joining from Estonia. How cool. Welcome, everyone. Awesome. Spain. Like to go to Tokyo, Switzerland. We have some joining from Germany. Oh, we have a student from Australia in here. How fun. Austria. Oh, from Austria wanting to go to Argentina. Oh, a few from Northern Ireland, I see. Oh, so
Okay, I
many.
think we can go ahead and get started.
Perfect. So I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Destiny Nicholson. I'm the Student Service Officer here at ISEP for Southern Europe specifically. I am a part of our office team, and I will pass it over here to Jackie to introduce herself, and then we'll pass it over to Grace.
Hi, everyone. Like Destiny said, my name is Jackie D'Amico Farah. I'm one of the student services officers here at ISEP. My programs that I work with are in the United States and Northern Europe. So it's nice to have so many of you here. Just as a little note, if you could put all your questions in the Q&A section, that would be really helpful for us so we know whose questions we've answered, which questions we didn't answer, and that way we can keep track in case we need to reach out to anyone whose questions were not answered. But yes, it's so nice to have all of you, and remember, any questions, Q&A section, please.
Awesome. And hi, everyone. My name is Grace Glancy. I am the Assistant Director of Student Services here at ISEP, and I will be assisting with all of the questions that you have today in the Q&A box. So thank you so much, and back to you, Jackie and Destiny.
Awesome. And just to confirm, I don't see the Q&A box on the bottom of my screen. Is it available for students?
Yeah, it'll be if you go to more, the three dots, everyone, it should be, you'll see like answer and question and answer.
Perfect. Awesome. I want to make sure everyone knows where to access that. And then we can go ahead and get started. Here's a little bit about what we'll go over for you guys today, which will include how to submit your ISEP application, strategies for creating a competitive application, and who to contact if you ever need help during the process. Okay, and a little bit of background on ISEP. We are a nonprofit organization, and our goal and mission is to make life-changing experiences for studying abroad, interning, volunteering abroad, all of those accessible and affordable for everyone. We like to have immersive programs and that are authentic to the culture of the host country and region you'll be in, and we always encourage students to live like a local to get the full experience. And then we can go on into the next part. So here's a little bit more on the offerings that ISEP has. We have two different kinds, both ISEP Exchange and ISEP Direct. A little bit about ISEP Exchange is that you'll pay your home university's rate for tuition, housing, and the meal plan. And then this will be the cost of a current semester at your university. So it will be similar to what you already pay. When you create your application, you will be able to list up to 10 schools that you are interested in attending, and then you receive a placement based on how much space is available. More than 80% of students are placed within their top 3 choices, so definitely making sure that you create a good list, and we'll go over that later. And then the deadline for ISEP Exchange is March 1st for priority applications. And then we can jump over to what ISEP Direct is. So ISEP Direct is more of a traditional study abroad method where you pay a set fee to ISEP for a program of your choice, and that covers tuition, housing, and your health insurance. The application is similar to the ISEP Exchange. You'll apply to the destination of your choice, and most programs offer excellent chance of placement, so it's a higher probability of being placed at that specific program. You can apply early for the best chance. There's multiple deadlines. The first is March 1st. And then subsequently, some are March 15th, April 1st, or April 15th. If you're worried about the deadline for a specific program, you can find it on the program page itself. Awesome. And then here's how you can get started in creating an application. So you'll want to create an account on the isepstudyabroad.org website. And then you'll meet with your on-campus ISEP coordinator, and they can answer any questions, whether that might be if you have to create or start an application internally at the home university, or specific questions that are more campus focused to your home university. And then you have your ISEP student service officer that can meet with you one-on-one to answer questions about programs, courses, the application itself. And like myself and Jackie, we would be your point of contact dependent on where you would like to go for your exchange or your direct program. Awesome. And then we'll do 2 different polls that will come through. The first one will come in just a second. And it is a little bit about what we asked you to put in the chat, but where do you want to study abroad? And you can select your region of interest. These are kind of how the regions are broken up a little bit within ISEP. And we'll give everybody a second to submit their votes.
Awesome. And while we're doing that, thank you so much to everyone for dropping your questions in the Q&A. I did want to plug that we will be doing breakout rooms at the end of today's session that are specific to what area or where in the world you want to study. So if you have any questions that are super specific to those programs in that region, definitely encourage you to save those for the breakout room. Awesome. And I'll go ahead and end the poll.
All right. Oh, it looks like there's a lot of interest in the United States and Canada, as well as Asia and Europe. So super fun. Again, like Grace said, there will be breakout rooms later for more specific questions and specifically for the regions of interest. And then we'll jump to the second poll, which will pop up in a second, and it's going to ask where you are in the application process. Okay, and we'll give everyone a second to fill that in.
Still waiting on 40 more people. So if you
Oh,
can just make sure
goodness.
you select where you are. Okay. I think we'll go ahead and, oh, last ones. Okay, we'll go ahead and share.
Awesome. Okay, awesome. It looks like some have already submitted. a few are still working on it or almost done. This is great. And then a few of you guys that haven't started yet, which is great that you're here, as you'll get a ton of information on how to go through that process. Awesome. And then we can go ahead and move on. Now we'll get a little bit deeper into how you will submit your ISEP application and a little bit of the semantics in creating it. All right, so we'll do step-by-steps again. Once you have created your account, when you access the ISEP homepage, there will be a login button at the top that you can click, and then it will take you to a screen that will be shown on the next slide right here. So once you're in, if you have your account, you can log in. A lot of you have done so already. If you haven't started yet, at the bottom, you'll see the option to sign up, and you'll be able to enter in your info to create an account. And then you will have access to something called your ISEP dashboard. You'll hear this term a lot throughout your process. It will look like this. And on the first page of your dashboard, what you will see is the contact for your home university. So all students have a designated contact at their university. Specifically, this is usually in their study abroad office. And this is your first point of contact for when you have questions that are more related to your home university and their processes of studying abroad. And then underneath that, you'll see your student service officer here at ISEP. This is the person that you'll talk to before, during, and after your program to help you throughout the more complicated situations and to answer any ISEP related questions. And then you'll see on the side under the enrollment, there's the application part, which is also in the next slide. Here you can see the number 1, that's where you can select the application tab. And then dependent on the home university, you may be required to request permission, which you can see at number 3. If your home university does not require their permission to start the application, it will look like number 2, where it says start application, and you can click that button and then it will prompt you to the next part. And here you can see there's a drop-down menu in that second box where it says view your remaining steps. This is where you can click to see what you might have left to complete in the application itself. And then if you ever need to edit, you can click the top where the top red square is to edit any parts of your application. This is obviously before submission. And then if you ever wanted to refer back to how to do this, we do have videos on our YouTube that can help. Okay, and then to add programs to your application, you'll search in your application itself. When you hit edit, you will see this red box where it says search for more programs. You'll click that, and then you'll have the ability to sort through and see what programs you're interested in, and then you can add them to your application from there. Again, all of these steps you can find on YouTube on our page in videos that will help you. And then a little bit on the next side is how to use the ISEP program finder. So when you click on search for programs, this is what you'll find. And you're able to filter by many different categories. You can filter by field of study, when you're interested in going abroad, the region of interest, and you can add these programs based on your filters. You can also add more filters if you want to define the search a little bit more. But once you apply your needs, so if you're interested in going to Europe and your field of study is psychology, you can input that. Also, the language in which you wish to take courses in can be inputted here, and then it will show you based on that criteria. Okay, and then to add the programs to your application, once you hit search and you've applied your filters, it will show you which options you can look through. We always encourage students to thoroughly examine the program pages upon finding these, to read through, get all the information, and ensure that it has all the aspects that you're looking for. And then for the next part of creating your list, I'll go ahead and pass it over to my colleague, Jackie.
Thanks, Destiny. So now we're going to talk about adding a new program to your application and when Destiny was talking about like how to do it. So once you're in the program finder and you find a program that you are interested in, you look at all the details on the program page for it and you're like, I want to add this to my application. What you will do is you will choose the semester. So if you want to go for fall 2026, it'll be semester 1, but it will have August 2026 on here to December 2026 because that's the fall. And then if you want to add it to your application, on the right-hand side, you'll see that first arrow. It says Add to Application. You hit that button and it will be added to your program list tab. If you are still on the fence, you don't know whether or not you want to add this university to your program list, but you're interested, you can still save it for later, and that will go in your saved programs. At any point in time, you can add saved programs to your list. There will be a button that says Add to Application. So now we're going to go over the very first tab in your ISEP application, and that is the program list. So again, once you added a program to your ISEP application, it will appear in your program list tab in your ISEP application. You will be able to change the order of your preferences by clicking the move up or move down buttons. Um, Please consider the chance of placement next to each program and adjust accordingly. I know in the Q&A there have been questions about chance of placement, and I'll go over that in a little bit, so hold tight for me. And I will go over how to interpret that. But please, if you have a university that you are interested in that you've added to your application and there are add-ons to that program that you would like to add to your application, please don't forget to add them as well. And then you can do that either on the program page, or if you look at the example that we have here on the left-hand side, it says study in Finland. If you see the option, it says edit options. If you click that drop-down box, you'll be able to see any desired add-ons for that program that you might want to add. All you have to do is click the little button next to it, and then it will save. So the next section is the academics tab, and I know in the Q&A there have been questions about this academic section, so hopefully I can answer some of those questions now. But once you've completed and created a program list, you'll be able to add the field or fields of study that you want to take courses in. You can list several fields of study by clicking Add Another. We have here that you should add every subject you plan to take courses in. However, if you want to take courses in like 6 different fields of study, I wouldn't necessarily put 6 fields of study. It can be a little confusing for the host university. So I would say, 2 or 3 of the ones that you really want to take courses in. I know some universities you have to take 50% of the courses in one field of study, and then you have some free will to choose the other courses. Some universities you can take courses in many different ones, but for your ISEP application, 2 to 3 is absolutely fine. If you just want to put your top field of study, that's fine as well. Again, this can definitely change. It's just to give the host university an idea. However, if you do not see the area of study you need or you want to take, that means that it's not available through this program. So you'll want to reach out to your student services officer to determine what other programs might work for you. Please don't forget the academic level and language. And then please hit save and continue when you are finishing adding those fields of study. The next section is the document section. So there's going to be several required documents that you'll need to upload. The first is an official transcript from your home university. You will need, well, the transcript will need to be official, but you can request a copy and upload it. If you have any questions about this, you can reach out to your student services officer. I will say I've already gotten plenty of questions about your transcripts not uploading, and it's because if there's any accents or special characters in your name, the application does not accept those. So if your transcript or any document isn't uploading, and it's because there's an accent in the title or special character in the title. Take that out and it should be able to upload properly. The next document is the academic reference. So that's number 2 on the screen. You'll need to enter your professor's email and it will send them a form where they can submit their letter of recommendation. You can request from multiple professors, but only one needs to respond for you to submit your app. If you are interested in a direct program, again, if you're only interested in a direct program, you do not need to submit an academic reference. For ISEP Exchange, you will need to submit an academic reference. And then the third one, number 3 on your screen, if you're applying for a program where the primary language is different than the primary language at your home university, you may be prompted to submit a language evaluation completed by a professor and a writing sample. If you have a TOEFL or IELTS score, I will talk about that in a second. That's in the different tab. And then just as another little caveat, it's not numbered, but at the bottom on the left-hand side, you'll see upload an additional document. Please check the program's other academic conditions section and special academic application instruction section on the program page for any information on additional documents that are needed. Some programs require additional documents and it will be stated in either of those 2 sections. Okay, so the next section is the eligibility section. In this section, you'll enter the academic level that you will have while abroad. For those that are international students, US students, please enter your GPA. Everyone should list the number of semesters you have completed prior to studying abroad. Keyword prior. So please make sure that you click that. I know there have been questions from international students about undergrad and graduate, especially coming to the US. So maybe keep those for the breakout rooms so we can get all of you those answers in one place. But then like I said from the previous slide, if you have a TOEFL or IELTS, this is where it will populate. On the screen right now, you don't see it just because it's not the example that we have, but you will see it. Grace, did you want to say something about the TOEFL and IELTS scores? Because I know there's questions in the chat.
Yeah, I was just gonna plug the question on the scale conversion. So there has been updates to the TOEFL report card. And for students that are taking it after January 21st, 2026, it will issue your individual scores on the 1 to 6 scale, which is different than the 0 to 30 scale that it's been in the past. We are still operating on the 0 to 30 scale for the individual scores. So if you have a new TOEFL report card after January 21st, 2026, then you will need to ultimately convert your individual section scores. If you do not see the individual section pop up in your eligibility tab, it may be that the programs you are applying for do not require the individual section scores and just the overall score. On the report card, you should be able to see for the new ones both the score on the 0 to 120 scale, so the old scale, and the 1 to 6 scale, which is the new scale. So you still should have both scale scores for the overall score.
And Grace, the link to convert is in the application, right?
Correct. It is in the eligibility tab above the TOEFL and IELTS section.
Okay. Thank you. I hope that answered a lot of questions that we were seeing in the Q&A about that. From the Documents tab, if you requested a language evaluation, your scores will populate here in the Eligibility tab. For example, if you need to do the Spanish language evaluation, the English language evaluation, your scores will populate right here on the screen. It will say like B1, C1, all of that. It will populate there. And then, of course, once this is all completed and you've uploaded again any documents, you will need to upload the official scores from the TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo. They're all universities that accept the Duolingo. You'll need to upload and enter the scores in this section. Once you've done all of that, you can verify your eligibility. So at the bottom, there's a red box. You can click that to check that you are eligible for all of your programs. If it comes back and says that you're not eligible, it will tell you the reasons why. If you have any questions about that, you can reach out to your individual student services officer to ask about your concerns. And then once you're done, please click Save and Continue.
Real quick, Jackie, we got a question in the chat. Will we need to have our language evaluation scores completed before we submit the application?
Yes. So please make sure that your language evaluation, TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo, everything is uploaded and is completed. So if you're doing the language evaluation, make sure that professor has completed it in order for you to be able to submit your application. Okay, the next section is your biography section. In this section, you'll enter information such as your address, just in case we need to send like any paperwork, like visa paperwork, and your passport. If you don't have a passport when you're applying, or you're applying one for the first time or waiting on a renewal, you can select no for the passport to submit your application. And then once you receive your brand new passport or your updated passport, you can send it to your assigned SSO for them to upload. Please know that once you submit your application, you all cannot make changes to your application. So if you said no to the passport question, but now you have your passport, please send it to your SSO so we can upload it into your application. Um, I have gotten the question, if I'm applying for a renewal passport, can I put my old one in the application? The answer is yes. You can put your old application, your old passport into the passport section, but please just let your SSO know that you are getting a new passport and that you'll email it to them as soon as you receive it, just so we can make note of it ahead of time. But hopefully, if you haven't started the renewal process, that you have started it or you're going to as soon as possible. Sometimes the renewal process does take a little bit longer than you might expect. Okay, and the last section of the ISEP application is the other section. In this section, you can submit anything else that ISEP will need to know when making a placement. This includes special needs. Special needs or any special accommodations can be extra time on exams, special medications, any support services that you receive from your home institution. It's always best to submit this information here so we can make sure that the host university can support you. It is a little bit more difficult to find out later about such things, especially once you've already received a placement. So if you could please tell us in this section if you have any special needs or require special services during your program, we would be greatly appreciated. I've also gotten some questions about dependents. If you are bringing a dependent, please reach out to your student services officer now. Thank you. We really don't want to find out about that later. It's much easier to find out about if you are bringing dependents on your programs now rather than later. But everything else you can put in the special needs so that way we can make sure that your host university can very much support you. Okay. Now, once your application is completed and you saved all the applications and the tabs, you are ready to submit your application. So there's a couple of steps that you need to do before it's fully submitted. The first step, again, all sections in the application are completed and you're able to click in the yellow circle. It says submit application. That's blue. So you're able to submit your application if that's blue. Once you hit that, you'll be prompted to pay the ISEP application fee in your invoices and payments tab in your ISEP dashboard. So the dashboard is that first section that Destiny was talking about in the beginning of our presentation. One of the tabs is invoices and payments. That's where you'll pay the $100 application fee. Once you pay that, your application will go to your ISEP home coordinator. So at your home institution, there is an ISEP representative from your home university that will look at it, review it. If they have any questions, they will let you know. If everything is good, they reviewed it, they are going to approve it, they'll hit a button, and then your application will be fully submitted to ISEP. Um, some of your home universities have internal deadlines for submitting your ISEP application. Please make sure that you are following those internal deadlines when submitting your application. That way you can submit it on time. Also, if you have to pay the application fee, you are paying it with sufficient time for your host coordinator to review it and then approve your application before that deadline. Um, if you have any questions about your home university's internal deadline, please speak to your home coordinator. Their contact information is going to be on your dashboard. It's the first name that you're going to see at the top of your dashboard with your home university's name. Please email them if you have any questions so that way you can get your application in on time. If your home university does not have a internal deadline for your ISEP application, that means that you'll need to submit your application by March 1st. Okay, now we're going to get into strategies for a competitive application. And this is where I'm going to talk more about chance of placement. There have been questions in the Q&A about chance of placement, so hopefully I can answer those questions now. For ISEP Exchange, our programs range from excellent to most competitive. As some of you, or may all of you know, specific placements cannot be guaranteed on ISEP Exchange, so that's why we really encourage you to really look at the chance of placement. We recommend listing at least 3 to 5 programs that you would be absolutely excited to attend, you are dying to go to. You are allowed to, add up to 10 programs per term on your application. But if you are not dying to go to those 10 universities, like no matter where you get placed, you are absolutely going to those 10 universities. I would recommend don't put 10 universities, put the universities that you are ecstatic about. They have the academics that you want or need to take. The location is great. It's really where you think you want to be with your study abroad program. That's how many choices you should have. For most competitive programs, this is going to be really important for everyone. One most competitive program, okay? If you have 2 or 3 most competitive programs on your program list, I am sorry to say, please choose one and remove the others. You can only have one most competitive program on your list, and it must be your number 1 choice. So if you have more than one, please look to see which one is the best fit for you and then remove the others. For if programs that you see are limited, getting into what each of these mean. For example, limited programs means that spaces are based on the number of outbound students that they have, as well as other factors. So a university may only have, 10 spaces and that's it, and that's limited. We use the algorithm to help us determine placements for ISEP Exchange because if we had to do it, it would be really long. So, yay, technology. But if you have any specific questions about chance of placement for that specific region or program, definitely talk to your SSO about that. We can be able to help you determine your order preference or the chances of placement for your list, that sort of thing. But hopefully that helps. And then, of course, we always recommend that students have 1 to 2 programs on your application that are good and excellent chance of placement. Good and excellent chance of placement means that these universities just have so much space to offer ISEP students that there's going to be a lot of spaces for you, and that they're just fantastic programs as well. So definitely take a look at those. There are a few that are goodies. So, and a few of them are my favorites. So, please take a look at those. But again, if you have really any detailed or very specific questions about chance of placement, please just talk to your assigned SSO. We'd be happy to explain that further. Okay, and making a good list. So your order preference is really important, especially on ISEP Exchange. We use that to help determine your placement. So make sure you diversify your program list. Again, this is just advice, not a requirement. For most ISEP direct programs, the chance of placement is excellent, but if it's not, please look at the program page or talk to the assigned SSO of that program for more details or for more information. Please use the links in the course description section of the program pages to review specific classes that have been offered previously. Please know that many schools will not have fall 26 courses official and set, so you might want to look at fall 2025 to get an idea of what might be offered during fall 2026. Talk to your home ISEP coordinators about applying for financial aid to your programs. Most financial aid can be applied to ISEP exchange programs, but again, talk to your home ISEP coordinator. You will need to confirm what type of aid can be applied to ISEP direct programs. So again, most financial aid can be applied to ISEP exchange programs. For ISEP direct programs, you'll need to confirm which types of aid can be accepted. And then again, any programs that you selected that are saved for later are going to be in your saved programs. At any time, you can add them to your application. If you don't, then they just stay there throughout your entire time and they don't really do any harm. Okay.
Okay. We have a few questions for you, Jackie.
Okay.
First question we've been getting a lot in the chat. How should I put in the number of semesters I've completed? Do I put in, like, for example, if I'm in my 5th semester now, should I write 5 or should I write 4 as I've completed 4 before now?
Well, if you're in the semester, so if you're in your spring 2026 semester now, by the time you go abroad, you would have, or hopefully will have, completed spring 2026. So definitely include spring 2026
Yep.
in the count for how many semesters you have completed.
Awesome. And then we're getting some questions. Do I have to take the IELTS or the TOEFL?
You don't have to. However, if this person is interested in the United States, I would say if you want the most options, TOEFL and IELTS is going to be the one that has the most options, but I totally get that sometimes cost can be a factor as well. So I would say if it's a matter of cost, the Duolingo is a great option, as well as the ISEP LPR, which is also the English language evaluation that's in your documents tab.
Awesome. Yep. And you can also see which evaluations are accepted in the academic section on the program pages. One other question I can go ahead and address is we're getting questions on accepting Cambridge certificates. So you can see in the same academic section and other academic conditions if the Cambridge certificate is accepted and what scores those would be. If you're applying for a school that accepts an LPR and you have a Cambridge certificate and you don't see anything about the Cambridge certificate, then you can reach out to your student services officer with the Cambridge certificate attached to see if that meets the requirements for the LPR.
Yeah, and if it does, then your assigned SSO will be able to convert your Cambridge scores into an LPR for you. But again, please email your assigned SSO if that meets, if that sounds like you. Thank you.
Awesome. And then one more question. We were also getting questions on what happens if I don't meet the GPA or if I don't meet the language scores. Can I still apply for those exchange programs?
Ooh, I feel like that depends. Some programs have the little caveat underneath that says except lower than the required GPA with explanation.
Mhm.
So you'll want to reach out to the assigned SSO about that. Um, if it doesn't say that, then I would say be prepared to look at other programs, but also speak with your assigned SSO about those. So if you do need to look at other programs, maybe they can give you similar options where you do meet the requirements.
Awesome. Okay, and then last question. We were getting questions on what happens if I'm like thinking about fall, if I'm thinking about full year. Can I apply for fall and full year at the same time? So no, you will have to choose if you want to apply for fall or if you want to apply for full year. You cannot have two conflicting term lengths on one application. So you will need to decide between the two. Awesome. And then we will do our best to answer the rest of your questions while we wrap up the presentation. But if we don't get to them, please ask them in the breakout rooms.
Yeah, and speaking of breakout rooms, that is the next section. So Destiny in the very beginning talked about who to contact and for application help or just your questions in general. And that is the student services team like myself and Destiny. We are working with a group of lovely women to help you decide what programs in the world you want to apply to and eventually go to. So just as a little caveat before we get started, some of the SSOs are not here today. They are traveling. So it's going to be really important that you pay attention to which breakout rooms you're going in. Now, I will say if that SSO is not there and you're going into a different student services officer Zoom room, if it is a super, super specific question related to that program, I recommend you email the assigned SSO that question. The SSO in the room that you're in will do their best to answer your questions, but if it's like an ultra super specific program question and that assigned SSO isn't there, then definitely go ahead and email them and they will get back to you as soon as they can. So, Grace, are we ready to do the breakout rooms or do we need a minute just to get some questions answered?
I think the rest of the questions are pretty specific to individual circumstances. Let me just check real quick.
There was a question I did see in the
Yeah.
Q&A about how we place students, like we only use the algorithm, not any other factors.
Mm-hmm.
Um, can I answer that now just so
Yeah, yeah,
everyone else knows?
absolutely. Go
It's
for
a
it.
common question that I get. I don't know, Destiny, if you get this a lot, but I feel like students are like, what else can I do to make my application more appealing, like to be able to, get in a specific university? So we use the algorithm to help us place students, just because there's a lot of different factors, such as how many spots universities have, those types of things. We the academic reference is for us just to read over, but it's more for the host university to read over to see like, what kind of student you are, what kind of person you are, how you're going to be able to adapt abroad, things like that. Um, but we really don't look at things like, if you're the number one in your class, you know, things like that. We really don't look at that. Everyone is on an equal playing field at ISEP. As long as you are eligible for the program, then you do have a chance at being placed there. So I just want to make sure that everyone is aware of that. Any other questions that we can answer really quickly, Grace?
Yeah, still a few questions in terms of like how can I apply for different terms? If you are interested in doing two different locations, for example, if you want to do one program list for the fall, let's say you really want to go to let's say Australia for the fall, and then maybe you want to go to somewhere in Europe for the spring, you can create what we call a dual application, meaning you submit your fall list and your spring list on the same application. You will only have to pay the one application fee. However, you will not find out about your spring placement until the normal timeline for our spring round, which will be in September 2026. So just keep that in mind. You are able to have fall and spring as long as they don't overlap. Just keep in mind that you will have to be on top of both visa processes and you won't find out where you're going until the fall. I think that's all for questions, just because I want to make sure we have enough time to do breakout rooms.
Yeah.
So if we did not get to your question, definitely ask it in the breakout room.
Yep. And with the breakout rooms, we will start that now. So if all the SSOs can have your personal Zoom links ready to go, that would be amazing. So first up is Molly Fox. She is the SSO for Japan and Oceania. So if you're interested in going to Japan or Oceania, so Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, you can go into her room. Thanks, Molly. Next is Kiomani, or Q as I like to call her. She is the SSO for Francophone Europe, the Netherlands, Africa, and the Middle East. So if you're interested in going to those countries, and she even has all of those countries listed in her meeting link, please go with Q. If you are interested in Latin America, Central Europe, and then Spain and Portugal, Kira is unfortunately not here today. So you're going to go with Charlene and in her room. So if you're interested in Spain and Portugal, please go with Charlene in her room, as well as those interested in Latin America and Central Europe. Thank you, Charlene. Okay. If you are interested in the United States, Puerto Rico, or Canada, you're going to go into Olivia's room. She is also the SSO for the United States, just like myself. We share the United States, but for today's presentation, you all are just going to go with her. Okay. Next we have Sam. She's the SSO for the United Kingdom and Ireland. So if you're interested in the UK or Ireland, you're going to go with Sam. Thanks, Sam. Next, if you're interested in Southern Europe, you're going to head off with Destiny. So anyone for Southern Europe, you're going to go with her. And then Grace, I'm going to go
Mhm.
next. So if I'm
Yeah,
going to stop sharing. So if anyone missed what room they need to go in. But if
yeah, I
anyone
got you.
wants to come to Northern Europe, you're going to come with me.
Awesome. And I will make sure everyone gets in the right room. I will repeat everything once Jackie leaves. And if you're interested in South Korea or Southeast Asia, then you will be going with me. So once again, we have all of our information in the chat. The first one is for Japan and Oceania. You can see Molly's link. Then, if you're interested in France, Belgium, Switzerland, Netherlands, Africa, Middle East, that will be Kiwamani. so you can see her link in the chat. Then you have Charlene. So I sent that one, but Charlene is going to be Spain, Portugal, Central America, Latin America, and Central Europe. So that's Charlene. Central Europe, Latin America, and Spain and Portugal. Charlene. Then you have Olivia. So she's the United States, Canada, Puerto Rico. If you're interested in any of those countries, please jump into Olivia's room. Then we have Samantha. So Samantha is the United Kingdom and Ireland. You can see her link there. Destiny is Southern Europe. So that's Italy, Malta, Greece, Bulgaria, Turkey. That's going to be Destiny. Then Jackie, like she mentioned, she is Northern Europe. I am going to be South Korea and Southeast Asia. If you're interested in Japan, please pop into Molly's room. So if you're interested in Japan, take a second, go to the chat, and you can see Molly Fox's room. Otherwise, so we do not have programs in China. Sorry, we have Hong Kong, so that's Southeast Asia. So Southeast Asia is Hong Kong, Taiwan, Malaysia, Thailand, and then South Korea is going to be with me. So my name is Grace. I have not put my link in the chat yet. I want to make sure everyone else is in their correct room, but I'm going to throw my link right now. So if you are in any other room, please go ahead and go there now, since once I end this, you will no longer be able to leave into the correct room. So please go into your correct room. And if you are thinking South Korea and Southeast Asia, that's me, and I'll be sending it in 1 second. Okay, great. So here's my room. Once again, I am Southeast Asia and South Korea. Once I end this meeting, it will be over. So thank you so much to everyone for participating, and we are so excited to receive your ISEP application. Thank you.